When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I felt as a child, and I thought as a child. Now that I've become a man, I've put away childish things. As adults, we spend the majority of our time judging and calculating what's wrong with our exterior. We are always comparing, categorizing everything and everyone around us. We try to box ourselves into an ideal way of being. We have learned to blame our human experience as a source of our own discontent. We fundamentally believe there is something wrong with it. We've learned to judge our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our peers, our friends, our parents, our children, our political and religious leaders. We judge our financial situation, the state of the environment, certain ethnic groups, our sexual preferences. And let's not forget the judgments we have about ourselves and our bodies. Modern society has an ever-increasing obsession with youth and physical beauty. As we fight against the scale, the wrinkles, the grey hair, we are also fighting against the illusion of time. When we come back to a place of innocence and perfection, we start to love ourselves exactly as we are. When we vibrate in love consciousness, the matrix of the intellect starts to disappear, and we start to perceive through a window that is crystal clear. We start to see the beauty and perfection instead of always seeing something to criticize. Another thing we start to experience is living in the present moment. As adults, we're never in the present moment. We're always worrying about the future, regretting the past, dragging a past moment into this moment, projecting our fears onto everything. But when we're anchored in love consciousness, we realize that we have the power to create what we want in our world. When we come back to our true nature, our true essence, we start to live in harmony. I think back to my past life. Even though I meditated a lot, I was such a stressed out disaster, and I was certainly never in the present moment. When I lived in Melbourne, Australia, I used to walk my dog along the seafront. Eternally busy and overachieving, I hurried by, lost in my worries and distractions. When I began to experience love consciousness, everything started to change. I started to be present in the moment. One day, whilst out with my horses, I heard this repetitive sound. I sat and listened. It was a sound I'd never heard before. The sound of the wind softly whistling through the grass. I started to cry. I was so shocked that I'd been so involved in achieving, succeeding, I'd never truly heard the beauty of what was in front of me. It's so important to think the facets with your eyes open. When you see yourself caught in a drama in your head or in a stressful situation, just think the facet and drop into a place of peace. And you can be all the love that you can, and you will see all the love that you can, my beautiful one, my beautiful one. Chase the wind, your time has just begun. My beautiful one, spread your wings now and fly towards the sun. And you can be all the love that you can, and you will see all the love that you can be, my beautiful one. This next facet I'm going to teach you will allow you to embrace your human experience in all of its complexity. We all have such a judgment with our human experience, but I always say that in order to be divine, I have to be willing to be human. Does that mean that we don't want things to change? No, of course we want things to change. We all want to experience more love of being, more love on the planet, a world based in peace. But in order to experience that, I have to embrace the now. The new facet is thank love for my human experience in its perfection. And again, when you think in its perfection, you're going to place your attention profoundly in the heart. Thank love for my human experience in its perfection. Thank love for my human experience in its perfection. Thank love for my human experience in its perfection. Have you ever watched children building sandcastles on the beach? They run around filling their buckets and they make their castles higher and higher. When it finally stands in all its glory, they wait with excitement for the tide to come in and pull it all down. Then they happily start building again, another castle. Do you think that before they start building, they thought, oh no, we shouldn't build here. The tide's going to come in and destroy it. No, that's not how they think. When the wave comes in, is there anguish? No, just the excitement of the next project, a new moment, as they intuitively embrace creation and destruction as a natural part of life. We were all children once. We all once embraced the unexpected tide rushing in, open to the unknown and the magic that awaited us around every corner. As adults, on the other hand, most of us seek to preserve the walls of our sandcastles at all costs, in the vain attempt to protect our achievements, possessions from the unpredictability of the world. But it doesn't matter how rigid those walls are, the tide of life will eventually come in and sweep them all away.